Our voyage began with over 100 people on board, pregnant women, nursing mothers, including children. We all didn't have life jackets. I began to wonder what all these people had gone through to get to this point. They all had invisible scars that were plastered on their faces, which they got from the suffering and the torture at the hands of the ruthless militias. I got acquainted with a Cameroon woman who sat beside me. She held a newly born baby girl. We got talking and we shared our experiences. She lost her husband in one of the Libyan detention centers, where she also gave birth to her 3-week-old baby. "What is her name?" I asked. The mother smiled and said that she had not given her a name yet. She said she didn't know if we were going to survive this water or not, so she wouldn't want to give her baby a name she wouldn't get to call her. Her words brought tears to my eyes, but I smiled while patting her back. We all started talking to ourselves, getting to know what country we were from, and we went ahead to make jokes about our countries and laughed. We didn't care we were in the middle of the ocean, where thousands of lives have been lost. We were all living in the moment. For a second, we all forgot what we've been through as we sang famous African songs with joy in our hearts. There wasn't a way that any of us could sleep because the balloon was customized for us to just sit. We spent a day and night on the sea before our past decided to chase us. We saw the Libyan coast guards with their boats behind us, and people started panicking. They were coming at us with full speed, but our balloon only floated by 2 inches every 10 seconds. As they were approaching, some people jumped into the sea. They couldn't swim, so they drowned. They would rather die in the ocean than go back to Libya. Their boat was getting closer and closer, and people started praying. Me? I had already given up on God. I thought He never cared for me. I stopped looking up to Him. If I was going to die and end up in hell, I'd be glad, because the hell He promised sinners can't even be compared to the hell I went through in my entire life. They were already a few feet from us, and more people were jumping into the sea. Suddenly, they saw a gigantic Navy ship with the Italian flag ahead. They withdrew and went back, and then we knew we had already crossed over to Italy. People started praising and thanking God, but I just looked up to the sky for a moment and I brought down my face. It took almost 8 hours before the ship came close to us, but by then it was night already. That night, we had a big problem. The sea was angry. The sea wave attacked with full force, and it was hitting our balloon, that we feared it might burst our balloon. The Italians couldn't approach us any further because if the wave that was coming from their ship hit ours, we wouldn't survive it. And they didn't want to be the cause of our death. They preferred the ocean killing us to having a hand in our demise. So they retreated. It started raining heavily and the wave became stronger. A lot of people that remained in the balloon went overboard, including the woman sitting beside me and her baby. She couldn't swim, but she gathered enough strength and held her baby above the waters. I stretched forth my hands to help. I managed to get only the baby, but the mother couldn't swim. As I reached out for the baby, she told me to please take care of her baby. Those were the last words she said to me before sinking. I couldn't cry. I just screamed and called out to God for the first time in so many years. God, please, if you won't save me, please save this baby. Don't let this baby die in my hands. Those were my words to God. I looked around me and I saw everybody crying. Some people were saved from the water but didn't make it. The balloon was filled with dead bodies. The sea was calm by morning. None of us said a word to anybody. We didn't even throw the bodies into the water. We just sat quietly with the corpses around us. The sun began to rise, and a few hours later, we saw the Italian ship that tried to help us the previous day approaching us again. I looked up to the sky, tears rolling down my cheeks. A baby held firmly in my arms, and a genuine thank you left my mouth. The ship came much closer and threw life jackets to everyone on the balloon, and one after the other, we were transferred to the ship. They started with the children, then the women, before men. We were given treatment and a place to rest. After they had brought us on board, I saw a young boy crying and asking his father where his mother was. The father held him tight and told him she was resting in the waters. I felt the pain. I felt the pain of that boy. I and the baby were given a bed to rest. I haven't seen a bed in more than 8 years. A doctor with 2 nurses attended to us. They asked if I was the baby's mother. I looked at the baby and smiled. Yes, I'm her mother. They asked me her name, and I paused for a moment. Grace. Her name is Grace. They took some notes and the doctor told me to rest, and they left. We spent a few hours on the ship before we got to Sicily. We were then taken to the refugee camp where we were taken care of. The doctor from the ship came to me and said that he knew my baby was born in Libya, but he handed me a birth certificate from the hospital to prove that my baby was given birth there. He said it was my best chance for remaining in Italy because he knew we might be deported back to our country without any papers. He said after all I've been through, that it would be a wasted struggle. Words couldn't express what he did for me. I don't know what my next voyage in life is going to be, but with grace and God by my side, I'm willing to let him show me the way.